Noel was trapped inside the city in one of the Torvalds raid that turned him into the lazy and ugly man with the metallic voice. Noel was a naughty kid that didn't do more than talk at math classes and that got easily distracted with beautiful flowers and wonderful spiders. At home, they had to chase him for lunch and hide the cocoa cream so he didn't smear his clothes eating in a hurry. Once grew up, he managed to get into every trouble his friends got involved. Into the resistance, into posing, in a hem night. He was a skillful man, he found his way around easily in the dark, and he was more silent than a cat lying in wait for his prey. At the Torvalds he always had a fresh wine glass and somebody to play a card game with if he got bored. Torvalds had a loyal associate in him, not too much involved, not too much critical. Lorenzo used him for the most dangerous visits because his irresponsibility didn't let him be afraid. At home they told him to settle down, and it sounded like old lectures he didn't identify with, but at the end he didn't know better than walk among the old branches of the woods. That night didn't bring any sign that showed the thing was bad. Actually, they hadn't much to do. They had received the tip Yellow Wood was on manoeuvres at the South District, and they thought that maybe they'd better make sure things didn't go far than that. They did it every time. They preferred coming from the outside, especially because citizens didn't want to run the risk. Look at them, he told Lorenzo. Lorenzo told him to lower the volume with a murderous look. Noel didn't like it and made a mocking face to Amalia. The yellow ward went door by door in every abandoned house of the South District. Those buildings were the closest to the stone houses, and those times the first years of the yellow government. One of their main targets was to eradicate that criminal blight the previous governments couldn't deal with. Those were the first years of the yellow government, and they probably weren't well off yet. The invading group watched them in the distance for more than 2 hours, going in, shouting up, shouting down, and leaving, building by building. The problems began when after those entries, shoutings up, shoutings down, and leaving, came three of theirs. Were they? So I asked in law. The two in the front are contacts, the other I don't know. Lorenzo answered. Maybe he's one of the new guys, Amalia suggested. Lorenzo wasn't sure. He didn't act like one of theirs. Maybe he's one of the others, Noel suggested. Maybe he is a sneak. So I dropped. That was what they all were thinking, but they didn't want to say it aloud, because if they were wrong, it meant marking him forever, and if they were right, it meant they had to get rid of him. We have to distract the Watts to take them out before they leave, Lorenzo said urgently. They weren't strong enough to go into the Yellow Watts' premises, not even to stop that dilapidated cars. They organized the offensive with two little gestures. Lorenzo and Soa would run to the wards and separate afterwards, dividing the ward that would pursue them. Amalia and Antonio would take care of the wards left, and Noel at last would set their partners free. They did as they had agreed. It worked as they had thought. The Watts acted with nervousness in front of that unexpected pseudo attack, but in seconds they split in two to neutralize them. The two left were more difficult. They had lost the element of surprise. They could notice their alert state. Amalia kicked him on the elbow to start. Tonio started without looking back. The words didn't react as they expected. They didn't move. They didn't move aside, not a millimeter, from their target. They didn't get scared. They weren't the easy rivals the others had meant. Stop! The one on the front told them. Tonio didn't know how to react. Amalia didn't stop. The impassive word knocked her down with an agile movement. Tonio pounced on him with the same result as Amalia. The other two that walked, the three resistance men, looked at each other, holding back the laugh. Amalia tried to get up. Tonio hesitated. Noel, in the distance, regretted not having someone to discuss the strategy with. Brave as he was, he didn't see it clear. Amalia got up before the watch's contemptuous looks. The one next to her was getting ready for giving her back to the ground, when Tonio grabbed his legs, immobilizing him. Circumstance Amalia took advantage of for dealing him a blow that could be fatal for a mortal being that only unbalanced a yellow word. For the first time, the ones guarding the prisoners showed some worry. Noel saw it was the moment. He went out of his hiding place. He approached from behind and rushed towards the only man that still wore his partners. Amalia had the first word facing the ground. He was trying to tie his hands. Tonio fought with the other ward, not being able to get rid of him. Stroke by stroke he asserted his strength like if he was a big concrete wall. He knocked him down with a martial blow, and tied his partners in a hurry while Amalia and Tonio finished the last word off. Thanks, one of theirs said. We just saw ourselves in the next world. Hurry up, we have to run away before they come to life, Tonio ordered. They ran desperately up to the frontier. Noel noticed the third man held them back on purpose, he thought. He didn't say a word. He just watched him. At the barrier, Lorenzo and Soa were waiting for them, signaling from the other side the exact way out point. Noel noticed the third one looked back persistently. They all had crossed through the security hall. Noel felt, for the first time, the need of being responsible. Who are you? He asked the third man.